see Uncle Roddus back again with yet another video, and the dog is trying to get in on the trick again. No, come on, go away. Off you go. Now, okay, it is the second to last day of February, and summer has come to an abrupt halt here. We had that big cyclone which I mentioned in the previous video, I think, come and gone. It didn't turn out to be too bad, but we certainly got plenty of rain and the temperatures dropped considerably. Anyway, so the last of all of my packages finally arrived today, and my day has been slack enough that I've actually been spending the afternoon playing through some of the new records, putting them onto my Discogs collection and stuff like that. So, long story short, this lot, 2 records were ordered from a friend up in the North Island considerable long time ago, and unfortunately something happened and he misplaced them and thought he'd sent them somewhere else and found them again and finally got them away, and they arrived today, and he put in a couple of extras that as a bonus for me because it took so long to get here. So that was really cool. So I wasn't really sure what was going to turn up apart from the 2 that I brought off, and the one that's playing in the background is this Space Case 3. Murray McNabb, Frank Gibson Jr., 2 people who I've mentioned before. Frank's played on a lot of classic New Zealand jazz fusion. This is the 3rd album from Space Case from 1985. I showed the first album earlier this year or late last year. This is pretty cool. I'm liking this a lot. I do like the first one. Is probably their best one, but still there's some pretty cool stuff on this. So really pleased to have that. Again, not one that turns up a lot, so there's only one more of theirs to get. The album that I was really keen to get my hands on that this fella offered to sell me is this one here. Again, this is also some of the same people actually. Frank Gibson Jr., Kim Patterson, who was also on that record, and Murray McNabb. This is their Soul outing from 1976. Is reasonably hard to find in New Zealand. I got this for a good price. It's a little bit, as you can see, a bit of ring wear. The vinyl looked a bit scratchy, but it actually plays pretty damn good, and it will clean up really nicely. I mean, there's a bit of surface noise on it, but that's what you expect from a 40-year-old plus record. Really good jazz fusion. Really like this a lot. So really rapt to have that. So in that package, when it turned up, there was some extras, as I said. This one here, which I haven't played yet, Freyden, Ghost Crash. Now I actually knew about this, and actually Nick, the guy that sent it to me, had mentioned about it ages and ages ago, and he knows the guys in the band, I think, lives in a similar area. And yeah, we talked about getting hold of a copy, and I never did, just other things cropped up. So anyway, he sent me a copy, and it's actually signed by 2 of the band. So no, it's a 3-piece band, guitar, bass and drums, so I think it'll be sort of like indie pop of some sort. Yeah, anyway, looking forward to having a listen to that. Yeah, he did recommend it earlier on. So it was released in 2009, although Nick actually left a note with it saying that the recordings were between 94 and 2005, so it may be a compilation of stuff. There was also, and I don't know where it is, there was also a 12-inch EP from the Body Electric that he sent in that package. I don't know what I've done with it. Anyway, yeah, so he chucked that in as well, which is a 12-inch single basically with 3 songs on it. Body Electric are really cool electro sort of dancey kind of band from the early 80s. I've got their album, I showed it recently, which is a really good album. And then when I opened the box, I was just blown away when I saw this. He sent me this as well, as a little bonus. This is it's a spare copy that he had. He said this is the original reissue. There was the AK-79 is a legendary New Zealand punk compilation from 1980. The original issue was 500 copies. This is the second reissue around pretty much at the same time. Still a Ripper Records original. Plays really well actually. I mean, it looks, the cover's a wee bit worn, but it's all intact. The vinyl looks reasonably scratchy, but nothing major, and it played really well. And to be honest, a few surface noises on a punk record like this isn't going to take it much away from the music. I had a copy of this many years ago. I have it on CD, but it's an absolute New Zealand classic and hugely influential in the New Zealand music scene. Really, really pleased. It took my breath away when I saw that actually. Nick, if you're watching this, man, thank you very much. That is just awesome. What a great deal, mate. That is just brilliant. Okay, so only just a couple of days before this finally turned up. This Kind of Punishment, A Beard of Bees. Superior Viaduct had 2 reissues, this one and their first album, which I'll show in a minute. Originally from the early 80s, these have been out of print, never reissued as far as I'm aware. These were supposed to come out about a month ago and never showed up, and been waiting and waiting and waiting. There was a big hold up on the shipment. I know that they had been available in the States because Roger Coleman showed one in his last video, so he already had his copy, not of this one. This Kind of Punishment, Peter Jeffries and Graham Jeffries, I showed a Peter Jeffries record in a very recent video. This is slightly different, but not, there's definitely a correlation between his solo and what he did on this stuff. This one here is the first album, This Kind of Punishment, self-titled from 1983. Again, the Superior Viaduct reissue. These are pretty rare. You're paying a couple $100 to pick them up. Original copies if you can find them. I remember seeing this in the shops back in the days, but I don't remember knowing anything about it or hearing anything of it. So, I possibly had heard it on student radio, who knows. So these play really, really well. The vinyl is very quiet. I'd never actually heard the music. There's nothing familiar on both records, so I'm not familiar with the music from the past. It's sort of stuff that's going to take a wee bit to get used to get to grips with. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, it's sparse, but there's a lot happening, and it's different. So yeah. Last weekend I was in I was in Penny Lane again, and I've been in for the last few weeks actually, and I spotted this the other week and had a little look at it. It had been floating around in the bins for quite some time, but I didn't really know what it was, and I had a closer look, and it turns out that this is it's from 2009. True Lovers is the name of the band and also the name of the record, and the chief protagonist is a man calling himself Dion Lunadon. Now, I showed his new solo record recently, and he was, actually his real name is Dion Palmer, I think, and he was the main protagonist in the D4, which was a New Zealand garage, sort of punky, garagey band from the early 2000s, who actually just been playing some bloody gigs locally, and I missed out. So that was a bit disappointing, but they were sold out. They only played a very small venue. They did play support from someone else too. Anyway, also, and that had been in the shop for ages, and picked it up pretty cheap, so I don't think anyone knew what it was. And this is the same. This is Wazzo Gotti, Gone Gotting, from 1989 on a Skank Records. This is the kind of, it's supposed to be a punk record. Chris actually played a track off this on his punk music, New Zealand punk podcast that he did just a couple of weeks ago, and that's why I knew when I recognised it when he played that, and I recognised the name, and I thought, I remember seeing that. This has been floating around in the bins for ages and ages. It is it is a bit punky, but it's a little bit gothy and post-punky as well. It's not a record I'm gonna listen to a lot, to be honest. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's hard to say. It lacks the passion of the punk stuff, really. I think the best track, I think, was the one that Chris played, which was Who Killed Pope John Paul I. Good comedy. Yeah, there's some interesting lyrics and stuff like that. But anyway, sorry, prattling on. Attack from Down Under. This was also one I'd seen in the bins previously, and I nearly bought it and I didn't buy it. I mean, and then funds were like, oh, maybe I don't have enough money, but then I managed to cobble enough together. So there was 3 compilations in the bins that I'd seen recently, and I was very keen to get them, so I went back last weekend and picked them up after I'd been doing some stuff in town. So this is actually an English compilation from 1986, so it was actually put out in England on Receiver Records. Nightshade, Strike Master, probably the 2 biggest bands on here. Yeah, pretty much kind of like in the new wave of British heavy metal sort of style. Yeah, actually not a bad compilation. Some of it, it sounds a little bit amateurish in places, but overall it's a pretty good compilation. I mean, but you can sort of understand why these bands never really took off overseas, but not bad. Probably some of the earliest New Zealand metal, really, to be in some ways. JREM Records put out a couple of compilations in the early 80s of pretty much some of the biggest, not biggest, but some pretty big stuff. I don't know, big New Zealand big hits. They weren't big, were they big hits? Some of them maybe, but to be honest, I know a lot of them so well. I mean, they were stuff that was played a lot on student radio. Some of them was played on commercial radio. Some of them did fairly well. In saying that, I think, let's have a look. Yeah, Ripper Records staff from Propeller and Ripper now. Simon Grigg, who is, which one was he? Propeller Records. He made a comment when I put these on the Facebook page, New Zealand Vinyl Lovers, that they actually made more money out of the compilations than they did out of the singles. And I thought that was interesting because some of the singles were pretty big in New Zealand. Victoria by the Dance Exponents, Don't Fight It Marsha, It's Bigger Than Both of Us by Blam Blam Blam, Stars in My Eyes, Screaming Mimes. Counting the Beat was huge in New Zealand by the Swingers. As a matter of fact, Chris named his podcast after that. The version of Pulsing by the Body Electric was quite different from the one I was familiar with. And then it goes all the way down to Anti-Trend by Unrestful Movements, which is kind of like a little bit of a stick-out track on here that doesn't really fit with the rest of them, but is a really cool record, and I may have actually had the EP with that on it. So, yeah, this was a cool compilation, and I mean, I know a lot of it is quite commercial, but they were those big tracks that were commercial but and did really well in New Zealand, but deserved to be that way because they are quality tracks. And the second they put out in 1984, Banana Dominion, again Body Electric, Sierra Leone by Coconut Rough. There's a hugely famous song. Dee Dee Smash Outlook for Thursday. The Mockers. I'm not really into the Mockers, to be honest. Airway Spies by Dance Exponents. Really cool. The title track of the they were named this after Banana Dominion by the Pelicans is a really good track. Yeah, and even the stuff I'm not that familiar with is pretty good. But these are classic New Zealand tracks on here. Really, really good. So really pleased to have those compilations. A new issue, a new release. There's not a lot of new releases coming out, which is fine enough. That's funny. I didn't do that before. This is the second time I've played this. It's stuck. Maybe my needle needs a clean. I didn't do that the first time I played it. Hex, the Hill Temple. This is a indie band from Wellington. This is a really, really good record. They are friends with the Mermaidens, and there's quite a bit of crossover, I think, there, similar, but this is heavier. No, this is really good album. So it's sort of a bit more darker indie rock. Couple more to go. I'm probably running out of time here. Ooh, what's this? How do you pronounce this? Nizina? I don't know. Babushka's Balkan Banquet. This is a Wellington world music band of Balkan type music. So it's kind of like, it's pretty up tempo. Balkan music. I don't know. It's world music. It's really cool. It's brass. A lot of brass on it. It's a fairly big band. Sax, trumpets, trombones, and then percussion. So yeah, kind of like a brass band type thing. Yeah, really cool. This is on Monkey Records. Monkey Records out of Berlin, run by a New Zealander. Puts out hugely limited editions. This is a limited edition of something like 40. They put out a couple other records which I've seen, but I had a quick listen to them on their Bandcamp and they didn't fit for me. But this one I quite liked, and it's really cool. It is actually a lathe cut but direct to vinyl. So as you can see, it's clear. As I said, I've had a lathe cut on polycarbonate, and I'll never buy one again. It sounded good on the first play or two, and after that it just, I don't know, it must have been after I cleaned it maybe, I don't know, but I tried playing it, and it just keeps sticking. I don't know, I'll try it again and see how it goes, but this is a lathe cut direct to vinyl, and it sounds pretty good. There is quite a hum to in the background, like a bad earth hum, so I don't know whether that's going to be like that on all of them. I'll have to ask Chris. I know he's got a copy. And then finally, the And Band, an album called Outhern, Outhern, as in like Southern without the S. This is a band that grew out of a band called The Spies, which I showed quite a while back. They reissued not reissued really, I don't think they ever issued any music originally. But a compilation of stuff was put out of theirs, which is really good, very lo-fi. This band grew out of them after they moved down to Christchurch. This was recorded in 1981 and was released originally as a cassette. They released a lot of cassettes, they recorded a lot of cassettes because actually the brother of the guy Henderson, George Henderson, who is in this band, George, he mentioned on Facebook that he had some cassettes that sound quite different from this. Or he said he wasn't actually familiar with all of the material on this one. Anyway, so very lo-fi, interesting, Christchurch underground music. Or Christchurch via Wellington, because they actually came from Wellington originally before they moved down and changed their name, The Spies. So, so that's another limited edition I managed to find on Facebook that someone on the group was selling. I think there's only 150 copies. Now, that is about my lot of vinyl at the moment. So I've got no more records in the post. There are some new releases coming up, which I'm keen to get my hands on, but work's slowed back down again. It's really patchy at the moment, and maybe there might not be many funds for that sort of thing at the moment for a wee bit, because I went through that last year as well. But yeah, work has been very patchy, up and down, comes and goes. I mean, I'm just, see how it goes. Alright, anyway, I'm going to be running out of battery and things, so I better move on. Alright, happy hunting, see you next time.